Good afternoon. Welcome back. This is Elias Zananiri reporting live from Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, Palestine. Today is the third Friday of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan, and we are here now reporting on what is the latest out of Palestine with regard to the prayers in the mosque, with regard to the political situation at large. Starting with the mosque, where I am standing now on the Mount Scopus that looks down at the old city of Jerusalem, seeing behind me the Dome of the Rock, the shining Dome of the Rock, the famous Dome of the Rock that everybody in the world knows it. And thousands, over 150,000 Palestinian worshippers were inside the mosque today. This is the preliminary figure we heard from various sources, who came to the mosque this morning to hold the prayer of the third Friday of Ramadan. As they started to go into the mosque in the early hours of the day, they marched through the plaza of the Al-Haram al-Sharif. They chanted songs and slangs and demands. And by 7 o'clock in the morning, Palestine time, Israeli troops stormed the mosque as usually as they have been doing over the last week or so, dispersing the youths mostly among the worshippers. There were clashes. Palestinian medical sources said that at least 70 Palestinians were wounded. 4 of them were seriously wounded after they were beaten up by Israeli troops. Now that the prayer is over, the sermon of Friday is over, and people, hundreds and thousands of people are now heading back to their homes. There are others who would stay behind in the mosque and to spend or pray the Taraweeh prayers late in the evening, and afterwards possibly go back home or spend the rest of the night at the mosque. This is traditional in Ramadan anyway. On the political level, the president of Palestine, Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, last night received the 2 envoys from the United States who came on a mission to visit Palestine, Jordan, Egypt, and Israel in an attempt to diffuse the ongoing tension in the occupied territories in general and in East Jerusalem as well, because of the latest measures taken by the Israeli authorities, mostly inside and around Al-Aqsa Mosque and in other holy shrines, as the case is with the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for the Christians who are also marking their Easter week these days. And tomorrow they will be under very police restriction, restricting the number of people, Christians, who should go to the church with very few hundreds, 300 people only on one side and 300 more on the other side, and this is outrageous. This hardly happened over 5 years of Israeli occupation. Only in 2014, the Israeli authorities decided to take this kind of measures against Muslims and against Christians who want to go to their holy shrines and hold their prayers there. The political message of the Israeli government, as being understood by the Palestinians, is that Israel wants to prove that it is the sole sovereign power in Jerusalem, contrary to international law, contrary to UN resolutions. And they think that with the simple decision of former President Donald Trump recognizing East Jerusalem as Israel's capital, or part of Israel's capital, that Israel has now the okay from the White House to do whatever it wants and to get away with whatever it does against the Palestinians. In the meeting that took place between the President and the U.S. Undersecretary of the United States and the Deputy Undersecretary, they heard a very clear message from the Palestinian leader that if Israel continues with the current escalation, it will leave the PLO leadership with no option other than implementing the resolutions of the PLO Central Council that called time and again on a number of occasions in the past few years to sever ties with Israel, to reconsider the PLO recognition of the State of Israel under the Oslo Accord, because literally speaking, from a Palestinian point of view, Israel has done nothing to show or to prove that it honors the Oslo Accord that was signed back in 1993 and was meant to be an interim agreement for 5 years. The 5 years, according to Israeli calculation, have not ended yet. We are now entering over 23 years of the Oslo process, and the interim period is still there. Israel is trying to enforce on the Palestinians a new reality that doesn't exist anywhere in the world, which is interim can become as perpetual as possible. And this is something unacceptable to the Palestinian people, unacceptable to the international law, and unacceptable to UN resolutions. And this is now time, according to what President Abbas told his American guests last night, this is time for the US administration to take serious action and to knock on the table and make Israel understand that there are terms of reference of the peace process that started between the PLO and Israel back in 1994, and that those terms of reference have to be honored precisely by Israel, that has done everything it could in order to destroy the notion of the two-state solution, that is not only supported by the world community, but also by the UN resolutions, for most of which, or the most important of which, is the UN Security Council resolution back in December 2016, which recognized and accorded Palestine this state status in the United Nations, but not a member. We are now a non-member state. I think, as we are being told by many Palestinian leaders or officials, that time has come for the world to implement their support for the two-state solution in recognizing the state of Palestine the same way they do recognize Israel and have diplomatic ties with Israel. This is Elias Zananiri reporting live from East Jerusalem, Palestine.